The economy is made up of real people doing real stuff, and it affects everything. Which you obviously know since you're a real person doing real stuff. Marketplace is here to help you get smart about everything beyond the what of the day's business and economic news. We dig into the how and the why with the real people driving our economy. From big tech and interest rates to small businesses and what's happening at the Fed. Marketplace breaks it all down so you don't have to. Listen to Marketplace wherever you get your podcasts.
Blue Wire.
NBA Most Valuable Player, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Giannis trailing the lob. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
2 seconds. Middleton. Yes! Chris Middleton.
Nice jumper. Got it. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Hey there. Welcome to the Eurostep Podcast Network. Explicit version, I'm just going to call that right now. Post Game 5 podcast. The Milwaukee Bucks go into Phoenix and beat the Suns 123-119. One home win away from Bucks in 6. One home win away from the first Milwaukee championship in 50 years. We're here. We have quite the game to talk about. We I don't know if we need to make sense of it. We just need to enjoy it some more. I'm Ty Windish of the Eurostep podcast, joined by Adam McGee of the Win in 6 podcast and my fellow Eurostep host, Rohan Kadi. Adam, Rohan, my favorite ask of the season so far. How's it going?
It's going great. The game was great. You're back running the ones and twos, Ty, which is important. You know, we had some issues earlier. We tried to do a pre-game, didn't quite come off. People were worried, Rohan, right? In the chat, they were worried. They thought, is this a bad omen? No, it turns out should we do it again? Should you and I try to figure out a pre-game?
Listen, it's been a day. Started off with that. Again, apologies for that pregame not working on YouTube. Should have. I'm still upset about it.
Don't apologize. Everyone's fine. We're here. We're giving the content people want now. It's fine.
What matters. It's just like the Bucks. Started off shaky. The end is what matters. The end is going to be great. That's this podcast. They did it. I mean,
they did it.
It seemed
Ty,
like
you're cutting into my story here.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you had a story. Okay, sure.
I was starting a story.
I was going to talk about the Bucks' historic Game 5 win, but Rohan has a story.
Clear out. Rowan's got Chris Paul over on the left side of the floor.
So, my evening started, again, with that live show going poorly and people on the internet seeing me struggle in real time, which was awesome. Just awesome. And then, my friends, we wanted to go watch the game. I got dragged down to potentially go down to the Deer District, which I was hesitant for, because every time I've gone there, they've lost. And I was like, oh, can we go somewhere else? And it's like, okay, we'll try that. Then let's try to head down to that area. Tried going down there under my, oh man, should we really do this? Didn't really work out. There are way too many people down there. Downtown Milwaukee is an absolute I don't know what to say. There's so many people there. There's so many people, and it's awesome to see the entire city just flocking to one 6-block radius and just embracing everything. Like they're shutting down the streets and everything. People are just walking wherever. It feels like there's a festival going on. That's what it feels like. But that unfortunately means that my friends and we could not get good viewing areas to watch the game. So we're like, oh, let's try a couple different places to go watch. And it's like, oh, it doesn't work out. And all the time that I am down there in downtown Milwaukee, just outside near the Deer District, they are down. The Bucks are losing. Every time I've gone to the Deer District, they've lost. I am officially cursed because as soon as I left the area, the Bucks started winning. And they started coming back and they started to win as soon as I was, away from there. I'm cursed. I'm upset about it. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I just have to realize the power that I wield now.
Welcome.
Wow.
Welcome.
Yeah, you can't go to games. I can't go to the district.
Kendall Marshall would say I shouldn't go to games.
That's
that one game.
It was, that was rough.
It was kind of the end of his career. So,
but yeah, it all worked out because all I realized is that I just need to leave and the Bucks will start winning. And we'll get back to what you were saying, Ty, because they did it.
I just quickly on Milwaukee and the turnout and the energy. I think it's so cool. The city, if you were born in the 80s or later in Milwaukee, you've never seen a team do anything like this. They haven't done it yet, but you've never even seen a team do this, which is go.
If we're born in most
finals.
of the 70s, too, to be fair.
82 Brewers. I'm saying the city.
Oh, okay. You're going all sports. Okay, I thought you were just
any sport. No, and obviously, the Packers have been better, but Milwaukee itself, if you're born in the 80s or later, you've never seen a team go to the championship like this. Maybe if you were born January of 1980, you remember 82. That's some savant stuff. But it's been a long time, and I just love that. Just like, some Bucks players that we're going to get to momentarily have answered questions about themselves. Milwaukee and Wisconsin sports fans answered the call. Are these passionate fans? Are they going to show up? The Deer District is full. It's not an arena. The arena's full too. There's like a neighborhood basically that's full of people going crazy. It's incredible. Like
they were at max
so
capacity
cool.
like hours before the game started.
Yes, if they do it, knock on wood, can't even imagine what the parade situation is going to be like.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, they're going to need they're going to need to work out some extra capacity. I know they've kind of stretched out as far as they can, but you're going to have to figure a way out because regardless of what happens from here, and I think we'll all probably be in agreement on what we think is going to happen from here, those fans, all the people in Milwaukee, they're going to have a game in their city where if the Bucks win, they're NBA champions. And it's kind of beyond belief. Kind of is, really unnecessary. It's beyond belief, but it's reality now for this team. And it's not just they're there and it's like, oh, they could do it. It's like this zombie team that just refuses to lose, refuses to crumble. It's like, oh, they're down 16 in the first quarter and they look terrible, terrible against the Suns. It's like, oh no, we'll put Giannis, on the bench to start the second and we'll roll off a run that while Rowan's being turned away from the Deer District and every other surrounding establishment in Milwaukee. The Bucks are like, yeah, okay, well, gonna get ourselves back in this game and set up a potential Game 6 clinching NBA championship.
That sounds more sad when someone else says it, by the way.
Did you try dropping Ty's name anywhere? Just
I thought about it. I thought about saying
Ty?
oh man, I know Ty Windish. Can I get in here, please?
You get kicked out even faster. I thought this was going to be the Drew Holiday game at one point, but it's like 6 different people's games. Like this was such a phenomenal game for the Bucks. I mean, because they won. I know, Adam, you said this on the post-game 4 pod and on the Win in 6 mailbag episode. Like, we don't care. We're results over process at this point in the run. It's like you win and it's great no matter what. But just the fact that basically everyone who's been questioned or doubted by us and by everyone on this Bucks team showed up and proved something that it's unshakable from here on out. They proved they carved something new into all of their legacies that's just going to stand. And it means more when they finish this thing out. But still, in this moment, in this Game 5, for Drew Holiday to have the game he had after the comparisons people were making, Chris to come through again after a slow start after the career he's had, Giannis, who at times looked completely gassed and like he could barely move, decides to just become a surgical passer and then takes over with scoring when need be. Pat Connaughton with one of the all-time great Pat games. Raise it up. I'm encountering more support.
I'm convinced. Ty, you've won.
I tweeted it out. I tweeted it, and it went under the radar. I felt like people missed it.
No one is second looking at it anymore.
Or yeah, maybe that's it. It's like no one was gonna. They're just like, why is he tweeting things that are just obvious to all of us? Of course, Pat's jersey should be retired.
I cannot believe that I have been convinced of this. Do you know how much Pat really needed to play for me to get convinced about this? Yeah, and he did it. He's continuing to do it.
I saw the vision after Game
I'll
7
admit
against
defeat.
Brooklyn. I was like, hey, if the run keeps going, if they do it, and he continues to be that guy, there is a case to be made, and the case is out there. And also Portis, who I thought really a shaky
When you say
start.
also Portis.
Yep. Get it up. I don't even know.
Okay.
Is Bobby wearing?
No, he gets a stash.
I don't even know what he
I don't know
wears.
what number
That answers the question.
I was getting back to the single game discussion.
Okay.
After a shaky start to this game, when I know Adam had tweeted about it, right after I tweeted he needs to sit for a few minutes, he just righted the ship by himself. And I thought Lopez, who also didn't start great,
whoa.
was some
Now,
huge plays.
you tweeted he needed to sit for a few minutes, right?
Yeah.
I said, he needs to just take a breath, get the frantic energy down just half a notch, which are two
Yes.
very different things. When he went and did he have like 2 trees on the next couple of possessions?
Yeah,
People
I
were
think he did.
thanking you for a reverse jinx as if
Yes.
it was intentional, which is, people
They
have a
always
very
are.
high
I don't know
opinion
what you're
of it.
talking about. They always are intentional.
But I love how you're trying to just bring me into it as if I was saying the same thing. Put me at the front, push me over the edge, Ty. I see how it is.
People know how you feel about it. No, I'm just kidding.
This is the guy who was in the comments earlier when Rowan and I were drowning. And he was in the comments making fun of it. He wasn't coming to our aid, was he, Rowan?
He was trying his best, I'll say that. He was trying. There was some effort.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton, these are, let's not forget about Jeff Teague, whatever.
Bench mob is 2 guys now. I'm sorry. Game 6, he can't play.
But we've
the
had
experiment is over.
We've got everything that was needed out of Jeff Teague. Like maybe there is just one more good possession at some point needed, but it's like they got one game when they needed it. They've had good moments here or there without him being remotely
He's a
good.
sponge. He sucked up all the water he can. He just needs to be raying out, and then he'll be good to go.
They mostly treaded water in his minutes outside of a couple very bad spells and one very, very good spell. That is all that you really need. 7:33. I don't think I see that many minutes in Game 6. We'll see. Not worth getting into, but
the one thing I will say on that, because you were talking about the Drew game and this feeds into it. At the time, I was like, this is a disaster, but does not need to do the thing that we're like Monty Williams keeps doing, and it's great. It's been what's given the Bucks a lifeline to get back into the series, which is bench your guy once he gets a sniff of foul trouble. And I mean, the worst way to do that is with 2 fouls in the first quarter. It's like, with a lot of game left here, you've still got 4 fouls to use up. What did he finish on?
4
fouls total.
Yep.
So like there was so much kind of leeway there, and Bud goes to Teague. But I mean, as the game went on, I was like, maybe just the timing of the rest for Drew kind of worked wonders, because he was ready to come in and then just take off then. So something worked out there, albeit not how you'd plan or like to ever see again.
Yeah, especially I echo the never see again. The only guy in the Bucks who's continually getting in foul trouble is Tucker, who, okay, if he remains the only guy who gets in foul trouble, I can live with it. This is just, it's not a great series for PJ. We know the offensive limitations. The rebounding wasn't as useful in this game. He only had 1 rebound, and defensively, it's just not able to do a whole hell of a lot about Booker. Like, he's better than, okay, it's going to sound stupid. He's better than Pat Connaughton defensively. He's better than Pat Connaughton at guarding Devin Booker too, but not by that much, and not by enough to make the swing in offense favoring Pat. Like, it's what I'm trying to say is Pat, I think, has more upside in this series than PJ, because PJ is not really slowing down Booker all that much. I mean, I think the Suns have also gotten they're getting back to getting the mismatches they want, and they hunt Pat. They don't hunt PJ. So he's clearly a better option, but the offense, I mean, he made his 3, he had a steal, he had an assist, he moved around a bit again, which is fun. His missed shot was basically a Kobe assist, but PJ, okay, if there has to be a guy who gets 5 fouls, I can live with it being PJ Tucker.
I think the one thing I would give him credit for across this series is, and it's an area where, again, he has the advantage over Pat, is He's bigger, he's stronger, and the Suns are trying to have Chris Paul on him as much as they can and just kind of, take possessions off or hide on the other end of the floor. And it's, when PJ comes crashing in for those offensive boards, or even when he's just he's bruising through you. We talk about like Chris Paul looking kind of worn down on the post-game 4 pod. It's like, you can hide him on PJ Tucker all you like. That means PJ Tucker is going to barrel through him like multiple times a game. And the same kind of applies for Booker. Like, Booker hasn't been bothered by PJ a whole lot consistently in terms of defense, but you're still having to kind of just deal with the kind of wearing down effects that having PJ Tucker kind of physically wrestling you, battling with you throughout a game must have as it goes on. So that's never going to show up in a box score, but I do think it would be easy to overlook, particularly because, okay, Pat's playing anyway at this point. Like, it's not like you can just swap one out for the other. And then Bobby just can't do what PJ can do, which is play small, just be comfortable enough to move around, move laterally. It's not like PJ is fast in that sense anymore, but he can slide his feet and he can stay in front of the guys and he can contest from alongside him. He's just obviously a very good defender and much smarter defensive player. But we're not going to talk a whole lot about PJ Tucker, if at all, the rest of this episode, but I wouldn't kind of overlook when you look at how Chris Paul has played, particularly as the series has gone on. I don't know if their game plan in terms of PJ Tucker and how Chris Paul factors into that has necessarily worked out for them. Like, would he not have been better? I suppose, what the thing with the Bucks is, you've nowhere else to hide him, particularly with Dante out. There's no other small guy. So what can you do?
You can just live with Chris Paul playing the way he is, which is, it's declined. It's declined a little bit. Say that.
The box score is going to look pretty good because he had an amazing fourth quarter. I mean, 10 points of his 21, and I think all of his threes or 2 of his threes. But certainly, like 3 quarters of this game, again, it was like Booker versus the Bucks, and I just feel like we've gotten to a point where that clearly is something the Bucks are down to live with. Like, if we can take out CP, and the funny thing is, like the gambit. That bet the Bucks are making, you kind of have to hope or assume that the role players for the Suns aren't going to hit shots. They all hit shots, and the Bucks still won. Like that, it's like Game 2 when Phoenix shot 50%. Phoenix shot like 68% from 3 in this game. Mikal Bridges 3 for 3, Jay Crowder 2 for 4, Cameron Johnson 2 for 2. Torrey Craig 1 for 3. All of the role players hit shots. Book was 2 for 4. Chris Paul was 3 for 3 from deep. That's supposed to be like the one way you can beat when you funnel a team into one guy. Like if all of his kickouts end up in hit threes, that's how you can lose while doing that defense. The Bucks found a way to win anyway. I mean, it's just we keep saying this on every episode, but I don't know how it's not the identity of this team. They just find a way. They find a way to win. They find a way to persevere and keep moving.
I have just looking at the box score, I have no idea how the Bucks won this game. Realistically, I have no idea.
Percentages are amazing.
They took the same number of shots too.
But
it's incredible.
So Ty and I have ESPN open, and Ty has NBA.com/stats, and they're giving us different numbers at the moment, so that's weird.
Wait, what numbers are different?
Just the shooting splits for the Suns are slightly different. Now they're insane. The Suns shot incredibly well is the point. But like for me, what I'm looking at right now is the Suns shot 55.2% from the field, 68.4% from deep, and 90.9%.
What did you say, 68.4?
Yeah, it's the same.
That's mine too. Yeah, they're showing 13 for 19.
Oh, you had 62 when we talked about it earlier.
Yeah, it showed me 13 for 21 at one point. But,
okay, so
they shot nearly 70% from 3.
55% from the field and 91% from the free throw line. And they lost the game, and really they could have lost it by even more. Like, it's just amazing. And there's a couple of things in that and what you're saying too. I think one thing, Chris Paul had a great fourth quarter, Devin Booker didn't give him the ball a whole lot before the fourth quarter. And you said the Bucks are just happy for it to be Devin Booker against the Bucks. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. Because guess what? For as good as Devin Booker is, as good as he is a shot maker, he is not the offensive decision maker that Chris Paul is. It's like, if all the decisions are going to run through Devin Booker, you're gonna find extra kind of bonus possessions where you're coming up with stops here or there that you may not if it was Chris Paul. But the other thing is, this is the Jay Crowder series from hell in a lot of ways. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're just better. The Bucks guys are better. That was my takeaway, right? Like, Booker's great. He's not better than Chris and Drew combined. And that doesn't even account for Giannis. Like, with the way CP has been mostly held in check, that's just the Bucks have too many guys that are too good. Like, it's even with role players playing well, they're still not going to consistently play as well as Chris and Drew, the way that they've played as series have gone on this year. And the other thing is, I think game one, we all noticed, like when Booker is hitting shots like over Lopez, the Bucks buckled. You could see it. I mean, they changed their strategy heavily, but even on the court, the demeanor, you could see it. Now it's like
doesn't happen anymore.
No, Booker comes down, gets Pat. Like, Pat tries his best. Only so much anyone can do, especially Pat Connaughton. Gets cooked. Like, the Bucks don't care at all. Like, they
that was our big thing after game one.
Yeah,
was just like, trust yourselves.
Yeah.
And Bud does not flinch. The players do not flinch. There's no panic. It's like, okay, you want Pat again? Sure, do it. If you score, you score. You're probably not going to more often than not steal, though. And it's like, yeah, we'll live with that. And that's a big deal. One of the things that struck me watching this, and it's a feeling I've had multiple times before over, I guess, the Budenholzer era. It definitely wasn't happening before that. But where the Bucks come up with a really big performance against a really good team, it's on the road, all the energy in the arena is against them, and you're just like, this is the best team in the world. And the thing about when the Bucks have had those games before is it's like December 6th or something. And if you're the best team in the world on December 6th, are you ever really the best team in the world? This was game 5 of the NBA Finals, and you're like, we're looking at the best team in the world. And it's like, oh, you know what? Now is the time to look like that. They've actually got it right. They've peaked at the right time. Like this, and I think this one in particular, like you look at the big trees play, you look at Pat, you look at Bobby doing his job, Brooke doing his. It's like they've peaked at the right time. They've actually done it. They're not just going out and it's like, yeah, they are. They're finding ways to win. But on this occasion, the way they found a way to win was they're like, oh yeah, we're all just absolutely great. We've got 6 guys who are legitimately great and are ready for this moment, ready for this stage, and they're going to outperform your players. And we're talking about like the Bucks' big tree. It's interesting if you flip it to the other side and you look at the Suns. Like, for example, DeAndre Ayton had 20 and 10. DeAndre Ayton does not affect these games at all. Like, that's a fake.
He did earlier. I thought he poured in buckets for a while. I think he only had 8 points in the second half, though.
I mean,
defense is where he has not been effective.
Even on
offense.
Yeah, they went to him late. There was a possession later on early on in the fourth quarter, where they sort of cleared the lane or cleared the floor for DeAndre Ayton.
Is this when he posted Brooke?
Yeah,
I was like,
you have no shot.
Call.
It's like, look how strong Brooke is. That possession was amazing. Ayton's just like, and Brooke's just like, what? Yeah, I'm just going to stand there.
What is that play call?
Brooke's like, finally, I get to do this. It's been a while.
But that's the thing with the Suns, and for as much as their offense is rightly being praised, and Ayton is a crucial part of that, and in freeing up Chris Paul, it's like when the game moves away from Paul and more towards Booker, it's more about shot making, less about play calling. Ayton, everything he does is suddenly on the margin of the game. So even when he has 20 points and 10 rebounds, you're like, just none of that is swinging the game. You don't feel like the Bucks have a DeAndre Ayton problem at any moment in the game. Now, there's still room for him to do that. I hope he doesn't over the final 2 games. But I think that's a really interesting thing when you look at all that's good about the Suns. It's like, yeah, if the Suns ever want to get to the next level where they're just like flat out unstoppable, you've got to figure out how to get your really, really talented 2-way big man involved in stuff all of the time. Because there are times in the game where really, are the Suns using him any differently than the Bucks are using Brook Lopez or Bobby Portis? Which the Bucks' whole approach to it, much to our chagrin at times, has been like, yeah, it's not really about those guys. We'll just play them where we can, and then we'll move and we'll look for something else. Like, Ayton is on the floor more than those guys, but he's not getting featured a whole lot more, which is pretty wild considering his abilities.
Hey guys, do you want to gain an advantage with your sports bets? You need to download BetQL, the only app you'll need to make smart bets. Their best bets algorithm scans over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you a best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports and gives you the reasoning behind why you should place the bet. Their algorithm covers everything from spreads, over-unders, and player prop bets. Plus, the BetQL platform is loaded up with all the tools to make you a more informed bettor, bar none. Tools like line movement and sharp data on who the pros are backing, team summaries highlighting previous success against the spread and over-under, team lineup, breaking news and injury status updates, and leaderboards to track how you stack up against others and to view your winning streaks. Better data, better bets. Head over to the App Store or Google Play Store now to download BetQL. You can also head to betql.co/bluewire to get started now. Enter the discount code BLUEWIRE at payment checkout for 25% off any of their subscription offerings. Don't miss out on the chance to gain your betting advantage.
Credit Karma has always been there to help you make better financial decisions, and now they want to help you even more. With a Credit Karma Money Spend account, you can be rewarded for good money habits. Credit Karma Money is a brand new checking account where you can win cash reimbursements for making purchases. When you use your Credit Karma Money debit card, you can win daily Instant Karma purchase reimbursements on items up to $5,000. Right now, visit creditkarma.com/winmoney to open your free account and start winning Instant Karma. Go to creditkarma.com/winmoney to sign up for free and start winning Instant Karma. That's creditkarma.com/winmoney. Instant Karma is sponsored by Credit Karma. No purchase necessary. Exclusions and terms apply. See rules. Banking services provided by MVP Bank, Incorporated. Member FDIC. Maximum balance and transfer limits apply.
Yeah, there was a point early on in the series where I thought, oh, DeAndre Ayton is going to be a massive problem in the series. But like you just said, Adam, he's just been marginalized, especially with the way that they're shunting the offense towards more of a Devin Booker style compared to a Chris Paul style. You guys want to know something a little bit fun about Chris Paul? He's already complaining, by the way.
About what?
Chris Paul said,
LeBron beside him while he's doing it, like
I'm
behind
sure.
him.
Oh, man. Chris Paul said they have to be better on the rebounds because they couldn't gather from the missed free throws by Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is from Chris Haynes, by the way. Everybody is anticipating him to miss, even him. I'm so sorry, Chris Paul. I'm so sorry.
That's terrific. Everyone's anticipating Chris Paul to turn the ball over, and he only had one. He had 5 fouls, though, in this game. Listen, that's a great little shot. You know how Giannis is going to react? Not at all.
He's probably going to be like, oh, I'm going to be like, okay. Yeah, you're right. I missed some free throws.
He's going to go win a championship.
But like, who cares? Like, he doesn't need to make the free throws. I mean, I would like him not to go up with empty trips, like with 2 to 3 minutes left.
It's not empty if you get the offensive rebound.
That's true. Did they score off the offensive rebound? I don't think they did in that case. That's when their possessions got bad for a little moment.
I think they were out of gas. I think they were so drained, it looked like.
Which, fair?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I wasn't that mad about it. I understood, but it was like, okay, there's a minute and a half left. It's like a 3 or 1 point lead or whatever. Now you just have to be great. But
I did think near the end of the game, and I'm all for this. This is probably a conversation we could be having in the next week or so on very different types of podcasts. But it's amazing to think that Chris and Drew are like jetting off to the Olympics in a few days. It's just
Booker.
With Booker, I'd love to be like on the plane there, where maybe they could wear like their champions hats or something like that.
It's tampering season.
Booker sitting opposite them, but you look at the kind of what they've put in over the entire run, but even more as you get to these kind of games, and it's like they're going off to an absolute mess of a Team USA, which at this point is like, my God, we need those 3 guys who are making shots in the finals really badly. It's kind of funny.
I mean, Keldon
and JaVale will save him.
Keldon and JaVale just pulled up. I don't think they have any problems.
I'll get it.
Keldon is fine. JaVale.
Keldon is not.
I'm a big Keldon Johnson fan.
I can't believe another nondescript Spurs player ended up on one of Coach Pop's USA teams. It's a really weird thing that
I can't believe we're talking about Keldon Johnson and JaVale McGee right now.
Don't know which reporter it was, but they're like, he's gained big support among the coaching staff in recent days. It's like, in recent days, I'd be worried if I was him if it's only in recent days. Enough about Keldon Johnson.
Yeah. Let's talk about Drew. I think the play that sealed the game was kind of a perfect encapsulation of the game he had because it was excellent and it was also audacious. So
completely.
It was like one of the ballsiest plays you've ever seen. And not in like, you could say that about Giannis, the sunblock as well, but this was like a whole different level. So Devin Booker driving, were the Bucks up one?
Up one.
And Drew just rips the ball out of his hands.
My favorite type of Bucks play is just when Drew just tears the ball from someone's hands.
He had 3 steals in this game. Dribbles up court and looks like, I think there was 19 seconds or so on the clock, and maybe 9 seconds on the clock left. 9 seconds, I think. And I thought, he's got a little bit of window here. He can dribble it down, take a couple free throws. Here we go. Suddenly, and we're not confirmed yet, Adam thinks that Giannis calls for this by pointing up.
He does call for
it. Suddenly, Drew is throwing a pinpoint perfect alley-oop to Giannis, who is flying down the court full speed. I didn't think he looked like he moved all that well throughout the game. He sure did on that play. 2 straight games decided by a Giannis ridiculous play right at the rim, which is fitting. In the and one.
And one that should have been a flagrant, by the way, because Chris Paul is shoving Giannis midair.
Shocker. But it was just like, I didn't even know, I couldn't even comprehend it. Adam, I know you hurt your foot celebrating.
I don't know what muscles they are. I don't know.
Rohan would.
Yeah, he would, but we'll have a consultation after the pod. But I was jumping up and down like a crazy person.
I fell on the floor.
It's just all of the emotion and energy that the players put into it in making those decisions, and Drew being like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna take this from Devin Booker," because Booker had got to the spot where you just know, if Drew doesn't do that, he's gonna just rise up and he's gonna hit that short kind of mid-range jumper, and the Suns are up 1, and we're all like, oh God, we've got to do this all over again. We gotta. And honestly, I've been very confident in the Bucks last few games. I think if they blew that game the way they could have, I think it's done. I think that would have been so crushing in the fourth when you've got your guys have played so well overall. You haven't really done even that much wrong when the Suns start to eat back into it. It's like if the Suns had have just pulled that off, I think the Bucks would have been in big, big trouble. But instead, Drew's just like, yeah, that's my ball. And then, as you said, it's like something that I never really knew about him or had never registered before he became a Buck, and even more before the postseason, which is he's just this showman. Just every now and then, just these unbelievably flashy plays. It's usually layups. I think this has come up quite a few times. He's better at ridiculously complex layups than he is the simplest of layups. But that pass was so good. And then Giannis just staring down the camera after it. Yeah. It's like, it's game 5 of the finals. You made that play. You're just like, you know what? I'm going to pose for the cameras here. This is a whole different level this team is operating on. And the whole play, what I love about it is it's like we're going for the jugular. Yeah. It's like, let's just do this thing now. You could dribble it out. You could be like, okay, we're going to run down the clock. We'll get into something. We'll get into some late offense, which is what was happening late on when they started to stall. They weren't getting into sets kind of anywhere near quickly enough. But no, it's like, let's put it up there and let's let Giannis go and get it. That's it. That's what kills it off.
I'm currently watching that play on loop, by the way, throughout the time you're talking. And one thing I did notice while watching this, the Bucks Twitter has a fun angle of it. Chris in the backcourt is also pointing up, saying throw the lob. So Chris and even though Drew could not
we
see
know
Chris
if Chris was the guy there, Chris would have thrown the lob. Now, whether the lob would have been like maybe that Suns fan who was, waving $100 bills around, he was a few rows back. He might have caught Chris's lob, but Drew's was right in the money.
That guy was counting how much he spent to watch his team lose to Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Pat Connaughton.
That guy, sorry, that guy is the biggest loser fan I've seen the entire playoffs.
Incredible douchebag energy.
Just what is going through your mind? I don't even understand. It makes no sense.
I think Bomani Jones put it perfectly where he said, why are you trying to get robbed?
Also that, yeah.
Who carries? I checked my walls here beside me. I checked it. I was like, it would be great if I had notes just so I could record myself doing a bit at the end of this game. I don't. This is 2021. Who carries lots of cash around, let alone $100 bills to a game to just be like, that guy wasn't on camera late in the game because I recognized somebody who was just over for him. So I was like, yeah, someone might have seen him. I mean, like, yeah, let's get the guy who's just like waving $1,000 around in the air every time Giannis takes a free throw.
See, the thing is, like, you plan that. So that guy, before the game, is like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm just going to bring...
Great bit,
and he doesn't even know that he's going to be on camera either. He's just doing that because he wants to. He's like, oh, this is going to be a great bit. Everyone's going to see it, even though I don't know that it's going to be on national TV.
This is like Jordan with the hat. If that was just a terrible idea, which, of course, it's not.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
This guy's like, nah, I'm going to bring $100 bills to the game.
Do you think he went to like the ATM on the way to the arena? He's like, I need to get some money out here. I
don't know how that works. I don't have that kind of cash to float around.
That's true.
I don't know.
But also,
it's just ridiculous.
You could tell.
Yeah, big time tie over here.
Yeah. The Drew Holiday stat line, 27 points. 13 assists. I remember he got his 10th assist sometime in the second half. And I was just like, holy shit, Drew Holiday has 10 assists with everything else that he's been doing. And that's when it kind of sinks in. Like, we almost hand wave his assist totals in the bad games where it's like, okay, that's great, but could really be providing more. He just does that every time, no matter what. Like the defense and the passing, although there's always some bad passes, only 2 turnovers in this game, so maybe not always. But there's some bad decisions mixed in there. But he generates assists in every single game. Continued to do that while putting up 27 points on 12 for 20 from the field, 3 for 6 from deep, another shot-making clinic from Drew, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 block. It's just, I mean, it was a game for a lot of guys that this won't be, I think, remembered as the Drew Holiday game from a Bucks perspective. But this very much was a Drew Holiday legacy game. Like a lot of doubts in Milwaukee and Wisconsin and outside from everywhere about him as an initiator, him as, a guy on this kind of a role on a championship team. Again, still a game to go for the Bucks, but I mean, a lot of doubters quieted with this performance. I mean, us included, like it was masterful. He got it done when he needed to get it done.
I'm gonna say I called this performance. Because I did call this performance. And you know what? I'll call a bad one in game 6. I'm sorry, everyone.
I don't think so.
I honestly think it's who he is. And I think it's fine. Like, you can win a championship with him. I think part of what shows is, if your other guys are good enough and they show up, like, that should mesh really well. I love what he's giving them on defense in the series. I don't know how much credence to give to a lot of the opinions that were flying around. Like, you're saying, ourselves included. That's fair. We've been critical of his offense because his offense has been bad. This is not the place that anyone's been coming to hear people being like, the Bucks would have been better with Eric Bledsoe, because that's just not true. We all know that. It's so stupid. It's never made sense. Like, Drew Holiday's value has been very clear in the fact that the Bucks are in the finals with a chance to win a championship. It's like the fine margins are things where you could never get over the top and get out of the East with Eric Bledsoe. That's just the reality of it. I think Drew Holiday is really, really good. He's who we thought he is. I still don't think he's great, but what he has in him is a great game. Like, again, if we're going back to the measure of not Bledsoe because people are comparing him, but Bledsoe because Bledsoe was what went before for the Bucks. Like, Bledsoe does not have this game in him. He does not have it in him to do what Drew Holiday did in this particular way. And that's really the difference. Like, that unlocks so much more for the team. Doesn't mean Drew can do this every night. Doesn't need to do it every night when he's playing with Giannis and Chris. And I mean, we'll get to Chris. And we'll get to Giannis. Both of them are just insane. Like, absolutely. Chris Middleton, like, the final few minutes of the game, and when he's going back and forth with Booker, and you're like, remember when Kevin Durant was the best player in the NBA like a couple of series ago? I guess it's just Chris Middleton now. It's incredible.
And one over Crowder, I think. I guess we're going to say, unless Rohan has something, we can get back to Drew later. It doesn't matter. But
no, I don't want to derail us, but go on.
The end one over Jay Crowder that Middleton hit, when this was the point when you mentioned it, Adam, the Bucks offense had stalled out. Like, nothing was working. And I remember thinking when he was bringing the ball up, a 3 here would be so huge. Don't even remember what the score was, but it was tightening. And it tightened further after this. But obviously a game this close, every point matters. And he just hits a step back on the left elbow over Crowder and draws the foul. And it's just like, my God, dude. Like, he had so many moments in that fourth quarter for the second straight must-win, intense, series-defining game where basically every play you needed him, he was there. And it's just like, again, like same with Drew, questions are being answered. Doubts are being erased. Like, legacy is being built right now. I mean, I don't want to get into it entirely, but we're one more win away from Chris and Giannis being 2 of the greatest 4 Bucks ever, at least. At least.
It's like we're already there.
Yeah, I don't know. We're there already.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Yeah, Giannis is,
2.
At worst number 2.
He's 2 for a couple more days.
Yep.
And I think Chris is right there. Like, we talked about this, I think it was earlier in the playoffs. It's like,
it was really in this series, I think.
It might have been. You look at where Chris stands in like all-time Bucks records, and he's like a season away from closing in, moving top 4, top 5 in a lot of them. Look at the years left on both guys' contracts and the potential for them to basically see out their careers in Milwaukee. It's like,
oh yeah, but I'm talking about like next week we're going to be like, it's no doubt, maybe 2 of the top 3.
They could be 1 and 2. They could be 1 and 2.
Nah, not next week. Not next week. They won't be.
There's a part. This conversation.
Wait, Adam, 1 second. Ty, this is completely off brand for you. Why are you not going with the scorching hot take right now?
I say shit that I believe, and other people determine if it's a scorching hot take or not. That's not up to me. I'm not Skip Bayless or freaking Perk sitting over here going, what's going to ratchet up the social media? I don't care.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know what the Pat Connaughton thing came from? Me appreciating the hell out of Pat's Game 7. And I was just like, hey, I feel like if he keeps this up and they win, I think you got to do it. And it just became a thing. I believe everything that I say. Every single one.
That is true.
We need to check the tapes on this one.
No, Rohan, I'll allow that. That is true. It was a sincere take. It was not meant to be. But when Ty realized that the world thought this was the most scorching take, he made sure to bring it up in every single podcast he's ever done since.
A bit is different than a take.
You did some guest spots the other day. I didn't get a chance to listen to them yet. I've no doubt that you were like,
I did.
I knew it. Of course,
there's
you
value
did.
in a bit. This is IP that's being generated. That's
my entire brand.
Yeah.
Remember haikus, Rohan?
Oh yeah.
LeVar, I mean, you're a bit master, and I mean, Jordan isn't here. Jordan is like just a living, breathing, walking.
I'm gonna tweet.
You can do the LeVar thing. There's some metric Chris hit. The Bucks are undefeated when they do it.
No, a buddy of mine just texted me something that's even better that I'm gonna tweet out.
I think is it 25 points or when he shoots 45% from the field, or either way.
On the 1 and 2, greatest Bucks. This is always a conversation that has more nuance to it, so it's just very hard. People are like, "Oh, it's that guy." This is the reason why I've always argued that Moncrief is like right up there. and for me is right in the mix for greatest book of all time, despite the fact he never got over the line. I think you've got to factor in a lot of the feeling towards Kareem. I also think, though, with this Bucks team, the difference between 71, and this is not fair on the 71 team, but the difference between the 71 team and this team, if they do get over the line and find themselves as the second team in franchise history to win a championship, in 71, they came into existence, blink, they draft Kareem, blink again, they're NBA champions. It's like this time around, you get one of the greatest players of his generation, 15 overall. You get Chris Middleton as, kind of a throw-in. People now get weird about this, but he was. People get weird and like, no, the Bucks wanted him. It's like, yeah, but the Pistons were prepared to throw him in, which is how that works.
It was
like
the salaries fit better or something. I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. Yeah. You get that.
Which
those
is
guys.
The definition of.
That's what I think. But people now push back on that. It took them years, though. It took them years of going through it, of playing together, of working together, that I think when those two guys reach the summit, it's gonna stand out in a different way, because Bucks fans aren't going to just cherish the moment where they do it. They're then gonna, retrospectively be able to apply kind of rose-tinted glasses to a lot of the stuff that went before, and enjoy the journey.
For sure.
Like,
it doesn't change who's the greatest, though. It might. We can do a whole different off-season pod.
We will.
We'll save it.
But that's my only. I'm just putting my argument out there because I don't want anyone to think I'm getting into Ty Windish, hot takes business.
Rohan, talk about Chris. Or do you want to do your? Are you doing a tweet right now? Or do you want to talk about Chris?
He can multitask.
I already tweeted.
Oh, you got the tweet. Okay.
Yeah. So James Christian Middleton out here.
Here we go.
You already mentioned
him.
You already mentioned it, Ty, at the end there, going shot for shot with Book. This is just who he is now. We've seen this time and time again throughout this postseason. And even though we've seen it sprinkled in there across regular season games where it's just like, oh, Chris Middleton can hit a big shot. It's like, before this postseason run, what do you think of? You think of Brogdon passing to him at the top of the key against the Bulls, like before his game winners in 14-15. You just think of him against Boston, the half-court shot. You think of these random one-off games.
It's not too many to remember.
Yeah. Now it's every game. It's every close game. Chris Middleton is going to go down at the end, go down on offense. He's going to make a play, and it's going to be successful most of the time. I don't have exact statistics, obviously.
Enough of the time.
Enough of the time. Enough to get it done, which is the story of this Bucks team. I'm glad you said that, Ty. That was perfect phrasing. It's
the
enough
book to be written about this Bucks season is called Enough of the Time.
Yes. Enough of the time out with Ty.
That
almost worked.
Yeah. That is like, we're going to just keep saying it. We're going to be saying it hopefully for 50 years after this. But like they're doing exactly enough. And we would prefer it to be cleaner.
No.
Maybe.
No.
But this does feel like the Bucks way to do it.
For my
we don't live longer.
Levels, yes.
Sure.
Like
we don't live
health,
longer.
We'd like it to be just a little bit cleaner.
But having it this way, and this is something that we talked about before we started, before Rohan even joined our Zoom call here, which is, you just get Game 4, absolutely iconic moment, a moment that we talk about is, the greatest Bucks play of all time. Game 5 comes along, you get another play that belongs in that conversation. It's like doing it this way, they're not just iconic Bucks moments this way. These are iconic finals moments. This is like, I don't know if any of us are really capable of or in the position to zoom out. I saw the tweets tonight, though. I'm not in the kind of, I'm going to retweet the tweets about, what this finals is like as a neutral, because I'm too busy tweeting all caps about Retire Pat's jersey and, I don't know, the big guys. But this is a great series. This is a really good finals. Like a really, really good finals. And the most iconic moment so far, they both belong to the Bucks.
See, the thing is, if the Bucks wouldn't win these games, the Suns would have a couple of those moments as well.
Sure.
Like that Booker 3 coming off the curl would be an iconic shot if they come back to win that game. They just don't. They don't have enough to get it done, which is why the Bucks are getting these iconic moments. Given that even if the Bucks were not to win this game and last game, that block and the steal and dunk would still be insane plays. They just wouldn't be as highly revered because, they didn't end up winning the game. But they're ending up winning the games. They're making these moments happen through winning the games. That's the entire point of these legendary moments. This is how these are made. It's I don't even know how to describe it. It's just history being written in the moment. We've talked about this before, Adam. You've mentioned this, that we're historians.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks are writing history in front of our eyes. It's just incredible. We're seeing great play after great play, iconic play after iconic play, legendary play after legendary play. Whatever you want to say about it. It's just, it's incredible. This is not a normal finals. This is not a normal finals by any means, given we are biased in saying that. We have to say that.
We are definitely biased. I'm wearing a Milwaukee t-shirt right now.
Yes. But there's no denying that the moments that have come from these finals are more iconic than you can say for most finals.
Your point also points to Devin Booker, who keeps rolling off 40-point games and losing. And it's like, was he going to get out of the finals?
He's really good.
He is really good, but, remember the dumb narrative that was around Devin Booker?
Yes.
Empty stats guy, bad team. Like, that's a really dumb narrative. But you can see the strands of that. Like that now he's a good player not a good player. He's a great player on a really good team.
He's a superstar.
Yeah. But you can still see the areas where it's like he needs to improve still his decision making. He needs to know how to get the team firing and not just himself. But that comes in time. I think we've had a chance up close and personal to see that's a journey that takes time for stars and superstar players in the NBA.
I think I'm gonna irritate some Suns fans. I dubbed the Drew Giannis alley-oop the Valley-oop 2.0.
Oh.
Hard to argue, man.
I like
what happened in the finals?
I like it. I don't even remember the other one.
It was Ayton's tip against the Clippers with no time on the clock.
Who cares about that? The Clippers? Who are the Clippers? Come on.
The entirely Kawhi-less Clippers.
Was Kawhi Leonard on the floor? Come on.
He was
drop the 2.0. That's what I say. If you really want to get spicy, drop the 2.0.
I don't hate that either.
We are getting spicy on this pod, and deservedly so. Go ahead.
Speaking of spicy, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Tinkle King, 32 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists.
And no first quarter toilet breaks.
No tinkle in this one. Well, tinkling metaphorically. 14 for 23 from the field on Phoenix is what I meant, Adam. On Phoenix.
Oh, okay. Well, that's much worse than dropping the 2.0.
I don't like that I had to explain it.
Yeah.
4 for 11 from the line was an issue, but they got over it. 5 offensive boards. They lose Giannis's minutes by 7 points somehow. The early second quarter run without him is the plus minuses from this game are quite frankly hilarious. But I think fitting with everything else, enough to get it done. I didn't think he looked his most comfortable or mobile for parts of this game. He took forever to get up the floor a few times. Granted, outside of that early second quarter, he didn't really sit much at all, a minute here or there, so you can see it. But he gritted it out for the second straight game, and when the team needed him the most, he was there, all the way there.
Can we add something on that?
The most important stat, Ty.
What?
0 turnovers.
Oh, yeah.
And
0 for him, 2 for Drew with all that ball handling and shooting.
This is, over the last 3 games now, Giannis has a combined 2 turnovers.
Wow.
He had 1 in game 4. He had 1 in game 3. In both games 1 and 2, he had 3 turnovers each.
Do you have his fouls from, because this is the other thing. It's just you consider the Giannis journey. 2 tonight.
He had 5 in game 1. and 3 in games 2, 3, and 4.
He's just managing that really well. The one thing I want to say before we get too deep into Giannis's game is his brother is in health and safety protocol, and that will have thrown his day off. You know, we know what the pre-game routine. One, we know Giannis is a creature of habit. So 2, you're going to have his brother's in health and safety protocol. There's likely some concern there. Then you don't have him, someone I'm sure Giannis talks to a lot before the game, someone who he may do some work with throughout the day. Plus, Josh Oppenheimer is not on the bench. He is Giannis's guy. And amazingly, he hasn't been there for 3 games. And nobody reported this or noticed before today. It's like, where are the eagle-eyed people in the arena being like, oh, Giannis isn't working out with his guy? Like, seriously, did reporters just be like, maybe we shouldn't report this? Which, if that's the case, fine. But how have I not heard about this in another way? I was really...
It's the same thing with the Woj thing earlier in the season when Costas was just gone. And it's like, oh, he's been gone. And just no one noticed.
Yeah, Costas is gone. Oh, yeah, it's been 2 weeks. Oh, okay. Although I think Giannis's guy versus Costas on the Lakers in the first round is a bit of a different orders of magnitude thing, but yes, it is.
But when he's losing the guy that he works out with pre-game, like his individual one-to-one guy, and then Thanasis isn't there as well, like that's a lot of disruption for Giannis being the creature of habit that he is. I just think like that's not to be underestimated too. I had a feeling coming into today all day. I was like, this is Giannis's night. This is like where he's really gonna go and cement for himself. And you know, it kind of was in a different way, which we'll get into now. But all of that then starts to unfold and come out, and I'm like, this is tough. You know, like one, there's a lot of questions we could probably have and ask about health and safety protocol, and I hope that we do not find ourselves talking about that over the next couple of days. But just generally with what that does to him mentally, how that affects his usual routine, I thought that's not to be just kind of dismissed. And yet, you know what? Giannis is just Giannis. So he comes out and he delivers no matter what.
Yeah, just first and foremost, yes, making sure everyone's okay and making sure that we don't have to deal with this. That's the most important thing, because you don't want anyone to be involved in the health and safety protocols whatsoever. Because, you know, you want everyone to be safe. Again, everyone, please be safe. I say that at the end of every episode. Yeah, it's just wild how resilient this team is. And that's just another example of it. Whatever hits this team, they're fine. Maybe they take a little bit of a hit here and there. They're gonna get right back up. They're gonna bounce right back up. And they're gonna, you know what? If someone hits them in the face and they fall down, they're gonna get up right away. And they're going to kick them in the dick and then make them fall down.
That's what this team is. Like, if we're going to put the explicit tag on there, you might as well use it, Rohan.
We're getting into it. Inspired by Chris Paul there. I think seen that happen on the court a few times.
Rohan just counting with the hundreds there.
We have a CJ McCollum tweet alert.
Do we actually?
I've been waiting for what it is.
Two-parter.
I need to go and be ready for this.
If Bucks win this series, how many votes does Mitty at Chris22M get for Finals MVP? Bro, been serving and closing. He then did follow it. So I think somebody said, "Hey, CJ, you're getting a little ridiculous." And then he said, "I think it's Giannis too, but Mitty for sure. Good for some votes too is all. LOL."
We also have Spencer Dinwiddie saying, just thought of an interesting what if. Maybe Marvel inspired me. Giannis is out for Game 6 due to health and safety protocol. Close contact, but Thanasis. Bucks still win. Does K-Mid get Finals MVP?
What? That's not
How about we just don't even go down that road? How about as another player in the NBA, you just don't tweet shit like that?
Look at this is the first thing he's tweeted about the finals.
I think CJ had to tweet the second tweet because I think Buck's Twitter is reminding him that his franchise
bullshit
player,
Giannis
his franchise player on 4K said, "My team isn't good enough and we need major changes this week."
Dinwiddie replied to it as well. Let's not take this so seriously. Giannis deserves Finals MVP if Bucks finish this thing. Bucks Twitter is on their asses about this, and it's incredible. We also have another player also saying things about the Bucks, and it's once again Victor Oladipo.
Oladipo film study, getting ready, learning the coverages for next year.
He's at the game. It's a study session. Like, this guy is thirsting hard.
He's eyeing up that Dante spot. He heard Adam McGee report. He doesn't think he'll be back. Adam, the newsbreaker.
That's not newsbreaker. I just do not think Dante will be back.
I know. It's not.
What is happening?
There's no reason for the Bucks to bring Dante back.
Vic's gunning for that 2-guard role.
They've got nothing of value. It's like, the guy's injured. Do you want to pay his contracts? Like what you might have to worry about other people. The thing with Dante, just with Dante coming up, and this goes to your point, Rohan, about, they just whatever they get hit with, they just take it in stride, and they're just like, yeah, don't care, just going to keep walking forward here. It's like, you watch those 8 minutes of Jeff Teague in the first quarter into the second quarter, you're like, that should finish them. That's where, without Dante, this team should just be toast when he has to play minutes like that. And yet, no, they're not. They could just weather that storm and keep on going. It's amazing.
The Dogs.
Yeah.
What a team. What a all-around team. I mean, it's like, I didn't even count them out after the first quarter. I was down bad, but I was like, 16 points, it's a lot, but it'd probably take, if they play good ball, maybe sometime in the third, they could tie it up, and then it's anyone's game if a few things go right. And then it's like 6 minutes without Giannis into the quarter, and it's like the lead for Phoenix is just gone. And we talked about how the vibes for the Suns after Game 4 must have been a little bit tight, a little bit like, oh, that's a tough one to lose. I mean, talk about mid-game having to deal with, oh, yes, perfect quarter. We got this big lead, carry this home. Even if we don't win Game 6, it's all good. We get to come back to the Valley, and it's gone, like immediately gone, while the best guy in the series who plays for the other team is resting up. Everyone else on that team is kicking your ass, and the lead is gone. And then you lose after all. And again, I think fair, not even criticisms, just notes on Booker and the way he plays. But that guy, he's unflappable. He's going out and making the shots no matter what. And honestly, most of the Suns did, as we mentioned. But I just think it's got to at some point be like, Jesus, like this. Why don't they stop ever? Like,
it's got to be now. Booker's got to be like, what? Do I need to go get 70? And it's like, no, you'll lose again.
Yeah, I was going to say, be 0-2 in games when you drop 70.
Ty, we have an update to your Valley Oop tweet.
Oh, okay.
The Bucks took it.
No shit.
Yeah, they did.
This is not the first time that this has happened. They also took Jordan's sunblock the other day.
Yep.
Great
job, Bucks.
Oh yeah, 3 minutes ago. They didn't do 2.0 though, so they took Adam's thing. They have a
They're listening in on the Zoom call.
Yeah, they have a bug on the Zoom call. At Bucks, let us in the Zooms, please.
Before because we might end up moving off Giannis. I just want to say I think this is the best playmaking game Giannis has ever had.
Yes, surgical. I saw you tweeted that during the game. It was incredible. There was one possession in the third quarter, I believe, where Giannis was sizing up his defender. And he sort of made a motion. Chris cut, and he got a perfect dump-off pass. Not a dump-off pass, but a perfect pocket pass. That's the word I'm looking for Chris for an open layup, because it's just beautiful chemistry between those two. It's just incredible. It's incredible. You want to know something fun about those two? I have more stats.
We do.
Always. Whenever you say, do you want to know something fun about? The answer is always.
Pair of teammates with 1,000 points, 500 assists during the playoff run. Giannis and Chris. 12-13, LeBron and Wade.
Wow. Wow. See, this is my one good mailbag question to the Win in 6 mailbag, which you haven't listened, go listen to that. What was your reaction there?
Well, just you had 2 questions. So were you saying that one of your questions was terrible?
Yeah, I didn't think the other one, I didn't think it was.
Okay.
Yeah,
so go on. Which was the good one then?
The Giannis and Chris, all these things that they keep doing. Yeah. Like, we were obviously always going to obsess no matter if they both scored 10 points a game and the Bucks were up 3-2 in the finals. We'd be obsessed with what this means for Chris or Giannis. But we talked about earlier, I think Rohan said, like, this is a special, incredible finals with all-time moments. Like, I don't remember every single finals. It's like 2 guys on one team. Oh, now they're the first 2 guys since whoever. Oh, now Chris is the first guy since LeBron. Giannis is the first guy since Shaq. Now they're the first pair of teammates since LeBron and Wade on the Heatles. Like, it's incredible the kind of company they're putting themselves in, the things that they're accomplishing. And I just saw during the game, I forget who tweeted it. I'm sorry. I retweeted it, so it's there somewhere. Giannis is now in the top 100 all-time in playoff scoring at 26 years old, which is just like one of those hilarious things that should not be possible at all.
Also, I messed up my statistic, by the way. I said 1,000 points and 500 assists. 500 points, 100 assists.
It sounded like a lot. That sounded like a lot of points.
I was 500. It was assists that was really.
Assists.
I was like, that's a season. They've really been diamond.
It's the Timofey Mozgov glitch stat line, 90, 90, 10.
I have a question here that I would have thought was completely unthinkable not very long ago. Is Chris Middleton a month away from possibly being
Hall of Fame? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's there. It's right there. It's easily right. For the Basketball Hall of Fame, are you kidding me? He might be 3 days away. But if you had the gold.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
If you had the gold as well.
He could be a guy who's about to have a championship. I just think also this is going to lift him into a different stratosphere, this run where, the way when he's been borderline playoff or borderline all-star and he just kind of gets disrespected. Don't think that's going to happen anymore. Like if he's there in the mix, he's going to get that from now on.
Yeah.
But so if you think of him as a guy who could log multiple more all-star appearances over the rest of his career, who could make all NBA teams, he's been right again in the mix. He could have been third team a couple of times, hasn't quite got there. But if the Bucks are going to go and win this thing, and then, Chris might have to go and save Team USA himself. But if
Bucks have better odds right now than Team USA does.
For sure. But if he does that, you see the impact it has for guys who have a gold medal to get into the Hall of Fame. If you got a gold medal and a championship ring, and he's got years left on his career, and his numbers, when all are said and done, if he stays healthy, are going to be pretty good. And he is now. What made me think of it is it's like part of it seems insane that, say, next year, whether it's the Bucks, it's someone else, whoever it is in the final, someone's doing great stuff. The fact that there's a possibility that these graphics are going to come up of stats of all-time greats and Chris Middleton's going to be there just seems insane. But it is also, I think, part of something that's just completely reframing his standing in the NBA. And that's, CJ McCollum's tweeting about him. Well, CJ McCollum's kind of tweeting sort of positive stuff about the Bucks, even if it's kind of shade at Giannis. But that is pointing to just how much Middleton is kind of rising in stature. And, he might have a better chance of Hall of Fame than Pat has of his jersey retirements. Sorry, Ty.
Yeah.
I think I know why CJ hates Giannis.
Go on.
I don't think I care. But no,
Dame wants to play with Giannis more than he does with CJ.
Yeah, Dame wants to play with good players. Who wouldn't?
Dame might want to play more with you, Rohan, than he wants to play with CJ at this point.
Listen, Dame, let's link up.
Reva will if Reva talks to Damian Lillard, Rohan's getting the call.
Shouts to Reva
from Neil Olshey, who somehow still has a job. It's too bad that the Suns never got closer, and then Chris answered. He has to wait. He might only have one more chance to be the single record holder last 25 years, most go-ahead shots in fourth quarter in OT. Didn't have one in this game, unfortunately.
Do they need to let the Suns force a game 7 so he can get that record?
No. God, no.
He can hold the tie with LeBron. That's fine. No
yeah,
shame.
That was a joke. Don't worry.
I know. No shame.
It's okay. When people bring up the LeBron MJ debate, and it's like, oh, they go to that stat. It's like, yeah, he shares that with Chris Middleton.
MJ, LBJ, KM. People are going to argue for a long time. That felt like a Jordan joke for some
reason.
Isn't
Lyndon Johnson Lyndon B. Johnson?
Oh.
Yeah, he's known as LBJ too.
I know, but it always confused me. When people say LBJ, I'm like...
It's a little disrespectful to old Lyndon.
It took me out of it for a second. I was like, Michael Jordan, Lyndon B. Johnson?
All the great...
Why are you thinking of Lyndon B. Johnson?
Listen, I'm man of the world. I know my history.
I think people from other countries actually learn about other countries.
I know quite a lot about Lyndon B. Johnson. Anyway, we don't need to get into Lyndon B. Johnson right now. Can we talk about the big guys? I don't have a whole lot here, but it's just part of, well, one, what I do, two, what we've been doing throughout this series.
And also all the Bucks the game.
Well, it's just you look at, okay, plus minus is very flawed, blah, blah, blah. Brook plus 10, Bobby plus 7. It's like you're winning both of those guys' minutes on the floor. It's beautiful. This is basketball how I like to see it played.
Yeah, I thought the offensive rebounds, it wasn't always those guys in particular, but it felt like the Bucks really leaned into, especially late in this game, we are much bigger, and that's how we're going to continue to win games. But yeah, I thought, again, that Brook, I didn't love the start, just felt like he wasn't the most effective. The Suns are really swarming him now when he has the ball.
He got fouled on the first time they did that, but that was at a point where the Bucks, it
was a mess.
If Giannis had been decapitated, there wouldn't have been a foul. Like, that's how the game started. It certainly kind of normalized, and to the point really where there was just no whistles for anyone. Which is fine. It's better that than just being too many whistles for one, not the other.
Especially given how both teams shoot free throws.
That's
no whistles for everybody serves the Bucks just fine. But Lopez, as the game went on, I thought his rim protection got really good. And then, it put it in perspective. Like when Ayton tries to post him, don't know if we're going to see that one again in this series. Like not a great look for the big fella. Honestly, I just imagine Brook being there like, oh, this is great. This is very easy. I thought I was going to have to do this against Embiid for like 1,000 minutes in the playoffs, but Sixers were way too bad. I don't mind doing this every so often.
Phoenix has tried to make me work defensively by making me play in space and all that. No, I just have to be big and stand here. Like, this is awesome.
I mean, the other thing for Bobby, I was quite hard on him the last game because he was taking an eternity to just release a shot. He was pulling the trigger.
We love to see that.
Yes, it's what you're there for. It's what you've become really good at. Those chances come your way. Don't hesitate. Take the shot. And it was much, much faster. No hesitation. And I just also thought his motion was just a little bit quicker because it had gotten really slow, weirdly slow. And that wasn't good. There was no overthinking it. It was like, I'm here. This is the moment. I'm going to do it. Which, again, is just like, that's this team. This is the moment. Got to deliver. Pat, I mean, we haven't talked about Pat really yet. We did a bit earlier, but, I mean, the thing that I regretted when we finished the post-game 4 pod was that we didn't talk about Pat's rebounding.
Yeah.
In that game.
Oh my God.
Where he had 9 boards and he was coming up with, and it's just like, you 6 in this game. Like, he's so important, particularly because the Bucks are going to these lineups where Bobby and Brook aren't on the floor and Giannis is on Ayton, and you're like, fine, okay, Giannis can hold his own against Ayton. And the problem then is no Buck is like doing anything to try and rebound. And then Pat's just coming in out of nowhere. And the upside of that is not only are you getting a lot of those rebounds, but you get to play like where Devin Booker is just so in his head about Pat's going to come and steal this offensive rebound. So he just pushes him and gets called for the foul.
Yeah, and we saw it on PJ the game before too. Like clearly the Bucks, when they stash Booker on those guys, like all that rebounding is getting to Booker, at least a little bit, because now we've seen back-to-back games. And that's just one of those, like, doesn't really show up anywhere in the stat sheet, but it's an extra possession. It's like that stuff matters so much in a game like this, and Pat has been excellent at that. How about Pat almost scoring as much as Phoenix's bench by himself? Suns bench players scored 15 points. Pat scored 14. How about the Bucks bench outscoring Phoenix's bench by a lot on the road in a game 5? Like, what a complete game from this team. But yeah, Pat, I mean, the shot making, I almost feel like we gloss over it, which we shouldn't.
No.
Like, the fact that he's like literally become their best shooter, maintain that status, raise the 3-point percentage tonight. The way he shoots, I think you said nails earlier, Adam. That's perfect. Like, that guy has never once shot the ball. We saw a little bit of hesitation and some bad passes early in the series, but when he's pulling to shoot, especially in this game, He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna make this now. Like that's what you have to be, and we can that can be almost a negative if a guy is pulling excessively when he's really off. Pat's never done that. Like he never takes a ton. He's never gonna have a 10 3-point attempt game. You know, he's not gonna get in rhythm like that. But he can come in, take 1 to 6 threes, and make about 40% of them, which is pretty elite role player stuff in the finals when you're also adding what you're doing on rebounding, everything else, cutting, like just a beautiful 14 points. Their fourth leading scorer in this game, Pat Connaughton.
Look, Space Jam discourse is at an all-time high right now. Do we have to consider the fact that Pat might have stolen Bryn Forbes' powers?
He might have. He honestly probably did.
He really is, like, because that's how he's shooting. He's shooting in terms of just the no hesitation. Like, go back to Bryn Forbes. What game was that? It was that game 2 against the Heat?
Yeah,
whatever.
yes.
That was so long ago. But the way he was shooting at that point is like, that's just Pat all of the time now. I was looking before this game. I was like, well, have a bet on this game. I was looking at player prop markets, right? The over-under for Pat's points for this game. Any guesses what they had the market as before the game?
5.5?
No.
What?
Was it lower?
It was 13.5.
Oh my God.
He actually
they
hit
did
the
it
over,
perfect.
and
Wow.
it was sky high, where I looked and I was like, that is insane. Pat is playing great. My thought was there is no way he is going to score more than 13.5 points. And he hits the over. He goes and scores 14 points. You're just like, who is this guy? Like, it's such a big deal. I don't know. Jordan said this the other day, and it kind of caught me off guard, and it shouldn't, because it's been building for so long now. But I don't know, is it for the finals? It might be for the playoffs. That Pat is averaging over 10 points per game off the bench. And that's just like, that's game changer.
Yeah.
It's just complete and utter game changer.
Hang the jersey.
Did you hear during the broadcast he took the lead for most made threes in the finals?
It's incredible.
No player in the NBA finals has hit more threes than Pat Connaughton.
Wait,
he's averaging
this year.
He's averaging
Was it
7.2 points for the playoffs, 10.8 for the finals. Like, he's upped his scoring by 50% for the NBA finals.
Legacy stuff.
It's amazing. It really is. Like, that's so wild, and it's just such an outlier. Like, let's be honest, it may never happen again. But he is the Fred VanVleet. He is the Jay Crowder of this playoffs, or maybe Jay Crowder is the wrong Jay Crowder for the Bucks, but he's more like the Tyler Hero, I guess, of the Heat's run last year. Like, it's truly amazing. But when I called him nails, that wasn't even just about his shooting. It's just like, this guy is just ready for the moment. He's just like, yeah. And I guess that's where you see just this incredibly gifted athlete, this competitor who was truly elite at two sports comes out. It's like, yeah, my whole life, maybe he didn't always know which sport it would be in, but he was playing for moments like this. He was building, being like, imagine that kind of stage. And he gets there and he just delivers, like, amazing. Beyond just him producing and like him helping the Bucks to win games, my respect level for him goes through the roof just for knowing, like, oh, he's a guy who, when it matters most, he's going to show up and be at his best. Like, there's very, very few guys, even in the NBA, that applies to.
So
Pat Connaughton and Chris Middleton have made the same amount of threes.
Chris tied him after the broadcast, said that. Here's the difference. Chris is 15 for 41. Pat is 15 for 30, shooting an even 50% from deep in the NBA Finals. Plus 22 in his 157 minutes.
15 for 41 isn't that bad either for Chris.
36.6%. Yeah, three turnovers, which is something that I talked about with Pat all year, is that, like, that's the beauty of Pat. He's not nearly as good, but it's like Ayton-esque in that, like, Ayton just does what, like, Ayton takes what's given, right? Like, that's his role. Like, right now, where he is in his career, he's a very elite role player. Like, he takes what's there. That's a role player. That's Pat. Like, Pat very rarely tries too much. How about Pat drawing a shooting foul on Ayton and making both free throws in this game? Like, didn't end up getting Ayton into foul trouble. Ayton plays a ton of minutes, but, like, that's the kind of thing where, like, what? Like, and it was
He's only 2 free throws of the series, by the way.
Of course. When else would he draw any? Like,
nails,
nails.
Fourth quarter, game 5 on the road, chance to just, take control of the series. It's like, you never shoot free throws, but here's 2. And it's like, yeah, cool.
I'll make both of those.
I'll make them. This is nothing compared to, crunching deals and, snapping up properties.
Let's not talk about that. Adam, you mentioned this earlier that Jay Crowder is having like the absolute series from hell.
Mm-hmm.
Pat's doing that.
I know. I said this in the last episode.
No, they're having very, very similar series. Jay Crowder has made 2 less threes than Pat. They have the same total number of points in similar amounts of minutes. Jay Crowder has played 26 more minutes than Pat overall. They're having very, very similar series.
What I'm hearing is Pat could be a starter in this league.
He could, honestly.
Yeah, on defending champions.
Whoa. Vic's got some words for you, Adam.
Has he?
I can't believe the Victor Oladipo is going to be a buck.
There's going to be more like this.
I respect that he was not near the floor at all. He's just up there. I was like, he's just there. Really, he wants a bird's eye view.
Yeah, exactly.
He's there doing homework.
See it better.
He doesn't want people like picking him out. He wants that when he comes in for a meeting with the Bucks, he's able to surprise them. With all the intel he's gathered. I mean, if they don't offer him a contract as a player, he might be a scout.
No, he's going to walk into the office. John Horst like, yeah, we know. We knew this was coming. Like, you tried. You succeeded in your efforts to say you want to be a Milwaukee Buck. It's going to be really funny when he's not a Buck. More.
I mean, between that, the Portis story about he gets in touch with Giannis, and Giannis sets the whole thing up. Like, there's going to be more impact players available for the Milwaukee
I will say, I need to hear that story corroborated in some way. I just want to hear someone else's perspective of that. When we get oral histories of everything that's happened in the last year, I want to hear all sides of that. I'm not saying Bobby is not saying how it is, but Bobby is giving his perspective, and I think Bobby's got a very kind of set, singular kind of focus where he'll see things through his own viewpoints. But I'm curious to see just how much. It's kind of wild if that played out exactly like it did, where Bobby Portis is just like, let's remember where he was in his career before this moment. And it's just like, I dial up Giannis and I was like, yeah, I've been watching in the bubble and this is the team I'm going to come and, I'm going to bring my talents to Milwaukee is essentially what happened. And Giannis was like, Johnny Horst, we've got our guy. No one else allowed. Day one free agency. There's just something, it's all fine at this point.
It's not that the Bucks had to sign him. It's that you get a below market rate on an available player because they've hit up Giannis and be like, I want to be there.
No, I think it's Giannis hasn't signed the Supermax. Giannis says he wants to play. This player wants to come here. I would like this player on the team, and the Bucks get it done. I think that's a lot of it.
I think that's why a trade happened and another trade almost happened.
Was Giannis doing that though?
I'm sure he probably was.
We didn't. Actually, that's the interesting thing because I didn't think he was that involved. But this is another pot. Why do we keep?
It's another. No, I'm just.
No, it's me. It's me. I brought it up. It's me. It's for sure me. I don't know how much. I think we went over most of the players.
The one thing that Jordan has said for a couple of games now, but he's like whispered it because he's Jordan and he wouldn't want to get too bold with this. But he has been suggesting that this is the reverse Raptors series.
Yeah,
I've said that
and
too.
We're now like
very
there.
Close.
We are now. The Bucks have the chance to do that. I saw, and it made me laugh earlier as we were recording. I saw on my phone. Low post notification come up and Nick Nurse is the guest.
Oh man,
on the low post. I'm like, well, this is some beautiful full circle stuff that Nick Nurse is gonna, I hope sing the Bucks' praises.
I think every coach at this point will. I mean, I think they're executing a really strong game plan.
Unbelievably well.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Bud, so that's a perfect transition.
Go. Good call.
Mm-hmm.
Bud's coached the hell out of this team. Really has. he's completely changed every sort of narrative that was against him, and at least my eyes. I'm sure in your guys' eyes as well. Most narratives. I think this game was near flawless. For points. Like,
I agree.
The Teague is the only problem, but you can see how you end up in that spot. And it's the same reason you're in that spot with Teague, like all playoffs.
Well, and it's still like we yelled at, don't underplay Drew because of the fouls. Drew still plays like 42 minutes in the game. So it's not like this wasn't a, game 3 situation or whatever. Was it game 3? I think it was game 3 where Ayton ends up with 24 minutes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like Drew still plays a ton. It was like 4 minutes or so he sat in a row. And I thought, you can just see like he just gets so much more serious with the rotations as we go, which I don't even know if it's like not even it is a narrative, but Bud wasn't always coaching like this. Like he has improved as a coach in playoff series. He has lost some of the rigidness that was like really kind of his calling card.
There's no rigidness. All they do is adjust. This is all this team does is adjust constantly. Yep. Maybe too much at times. Like that's
hard to say.
That's kind of the thing that people led with for this series too, though. Yeah, they were pre-adjusting when you may not have needed to do that. It's like, come in and just, give yourself the game to see. Don't come straight out of the gate, because that's traditionally the Bucks thing to do as well, is to give yourself a game where you're like, well, we're not going to change anything, which is really something that has fueled the adjustment narrative. But he didn't even do that in this series.
I think he's gone from, a liability to a good enough coach to win you a championship who is not perfect, which is, I'm not saying he's the best coach in the league, but which is about all you can ask for.
He's a championship level coach, which is anything you could ever want and more.
No, literally no one who's ran off a championship run as a coach has had a perfect run.
He's been a championship level coach all along.
No,
he's been a championship.
No.
I will say that going back to his time in Atlanta, like he has made bad decisions. He is not a perfect coach. No coach is. How many guys in the NBA are better than Bud? How many guys in the NBA are better than Bud and have been better than Bud all along? Well, right now, it's probably just not even worth getting into it, because obviously it's very hard to name a whole lot of names right now when he's one game away from being an NBA champion. But I do think that was the thing when the Bucks hired him. That was the thing. Even like when a lot of the conversations flaring up, it's like, okay, you're going to change coach. That's fine. There's been times like we were there in the Nets series. It's like, this is going down. They've got to change coach. Rick Carlisle is suddenly available, go and do that. But I think that was a classic example of the kind of coach it takes to be like, oh yeah, that's the guy. There are very, very few of them. And you could go the Nick Nurse route, and you could get a Nick Nurse, or you could get a Bjorkgren. And that's how it works. That is how it works. If you play the assistant coach game in the NBA, you are playing with fire. You either come out a better team, you found a really good coach, or the whole thing comes crumbling down. You never recover. And you see that a lot. Good teams, it's not working, make a change, go for something different, and the thing just completely crumbles. But with Bud, Bud is flawed. Bud is still flawed. I think he's always been in the upper echelon. Like if his thing is, he great regular season team, but he won't get you. If you're a great regular season team, you're going to go into the playoffs in good shape and you're going to have a chance. There are so many coaches who cannot put a good regular season together. They cannot put a regular season together at the level Bud did. So now that you're seeing, okay, add to the regular season, he's actually putting a really good playoffs together. Like I'm not saying there's not an evolution, but Bud, when he took the Hawks job, for as long as he'd been on Pop's bench and as long as he'd been Pop's lead assistant and in such a position of influence, still a pretty young coach. This is skewed a little bit more recently because of like Brad Stevens comes in after him, and what a young coach is kind of changes. But even now, Bud is he like 52, 54-ish? Kind of in that age range, 51. Like he's younger than I would say. Like he's not someone who's like in the tail end of his career. So him learning at this point, he's 51. He definitely looks quite a bit older than 51. And we all know the toll on Bud's emotions that this team and just basketball generally takes. But he is right there. You know, he's right there at the point where I think anytime you're to decide you're going to move on from him, that's a really risky decision. Doesn't mean it wouldn't have been the right decision to make if things had gone differently. But in the spot we're in now, it's like, who are the guys? Who are the guys that you could say are better? You're counting on one hand. And I don't think you'll fill all the fingers on your hand in saying these are the guys who are definitely better. That if I get them now, I'm like, yeah, that's the guy. Because even Monty Williams, great season, really good coach. And what we're seeing right now, is anyone saying, oh no, I want Monty Williams?
No, because this year has been entirely different.
Right now, I'm saying Spoelstra, and I can't think of anyone else that I would take clearly over Bud. However,
Carlisle? You would have taken Carlisle
right now. I'm not
as in he has a new job. That's disqualifying.
No.
Or you think he's washed?
Just based on what I've seen from Bud right now, I'm saying I don't know.
So you think like Carlisle? If Carlisle was available to be Bucks coach in the morning,
I'm not sure I'd do it.
Okay.
Given everything you just said, given everything I just said, Ty and I at the end of last season called for Bud's job, and I stand by that. Based on what we saw
at the time, for sure.
Based on what we saw
for them, he improved. To his credit,
yes,
he did.
Exactly.
That is not why he improves, but okay.
No,
what do you mean? No, we never said that's why.
I know. That's how it sounded. I know you didn't mean that, but that's how it came out.
But no, he did improve, and that's what I'm saying. He has become one of these coaches. I thought last season at that level, he wasn't at the same level that he is right now, and I still stand by that he was not that coach at that time. It was like clear, like you're not that guy, pal, sort of thing at the end of last season. He's become that guy. And credit to him, he's worked on everything that he needs to. It's been an incredible turnaround. And this season, he has upped his coaching level. He has upped his control over this team, this series, in terms of what buttons he needs to press. And given a lot of that comes with roster flexibility, it's tough to really pinpoint exactly what coaching is in the NBA. But like from an outsider's perspective, at least. But what we've seen so far, he has made an incredible evolution. He has improved his grasp on everything so well throughout this past year. It's been incredible. It's been absolutely incredible. I'll be the first one to admit that I was wrong. Credit where credit is due. Budenholzer, again, I said I'd take Spoelstra over him, and I'm not sure who else.
But the other thing I think that's worth talking about, when we get to this kind of point where we are like zooming way out, it's now that we've got here and he's making a lot of the adjustments and he is finding a way for his team to win. Just as we keep going back to, they're finding ways to win. It also does reframe his entire time with the Bucks differently, because like even stuff that they did so successfully in his first year that set them off on like their record setting, regular season, and honestly had them very close in the playoffs. Some of that has been abandoned, but the groundwork laid then remains, like how the team was reworked around Brook, how that still holds up, how you're now a team that you can do that, and Brook can be a focal point anchoring your defense. He can also be off the floor. Bobby Portis, who's just like very far away from Brook, he can be in there, can work. Or guess what? You can put them both off the floor, and you can have Giannis, you can have a PJ Tucker. Like, there's just been so many evolutions that the idea of him not adjusting is laughable. It became laughable a long time ago, but it was in game was still the thing. But it's like he's been doing that. Rotations are the thing. We said this a lot. Rotations are still the thing. And how he distributes minutes more than anything is the thing. I think the right players generally play with him now. It's just like, would a better coach have a tighter kind of grip on that, where it's like, if Jeff Teague's playing 8 minutes, maybe he's not playing them all at once. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. But that's kind of it. That's my only gripe. And you look at too, and there are other people who deserve credit for this. Credit goes to front office for the kind of guys they brought in, the team they built. These guys like to play together. These guys like to play for Bud and for, guys like Darvin Ham, Charles Lee, Vin Baker, people who've been around for a while, and you can just see the unity. I don't know if either of you notice, like, Darvin Ham on the sidelines every time a big play was made in this game. Like, this is a guy who's interviewed for like 3 jobs in the last 2 weeks, has got none of them, and is realistically looking at being an assistant coach again next year. He could not care more about winning a championship. He could not care more. And the players respond to that. And I have to think that factors into when we're like, they just find a way to win, because there is this kind of something special about it. They're able to dig into a deeper reserve. They trust each other, and they go out and play for each other and their coaches. And it's working. It's got them here. They're right on the cusp. All we need is one more.
In addition to Bud, I think Giannis deserves a lot of credit for that, because
for sure,
when you're a franchise player to this extent, not even just the team, but the organization kind of takes after you. And you just have something, in addition to just all the say, it's just, how you act permeates throughout everything. And I mean, his quote that I think is now going viral about, if you think about if you live in the past, it's
your ego.
It's your ego. The future is your pride, and the present is humility. Like, I mean, you look at that, like, jives perfectly with the quote about him looking at the times he failed in the past and laughing about it, and it just feels like the whole vibe throughout the team. And every time we see like the all access or the clips from practice or the guys talking about each other, like, just feels like everyone's in lockstep. They all have a common goal, and I think even more importantly, they just all have this belief in each other and everything. Like, there's been so many attempts to make this thing with Chris and Giannis some sort of rivalry, and every time they're asked about it, all they do is credit the other guy for being great enough that they can both do stuff. Like,
look at the photo of Giannis hugging Chris after Game 4. Like, that kind of says it all.
Yeah, those guys hated each other before. I don't think any ESPN talk shows are going to get them to do it again, though. I think
and they're always quick to point out they're not close. Like, they're not off the court. These are not like best friends, but they both just trust each other completely on the court. They're like, that's the guy I want to go to war with. That's the guy I want to win championships with. That's the guy I want to build a legacy with. I think there's almost something cooler about that. It's like when it's just, these two guys, they love each other. They're friends. It gets removed from something that's purely focused on, does this work and how can we make this work better? It's like, it's business. It is their job. And when the two of them kind of put their minds together and they take to the court, and it's like, it's about how can this team win? It's not like, how can we win together because we're friends? It's like, how can we get this team to win, and we'll do it together because we've been in it together from the start. And that would make it all the more special for us. Like, that's not the usual dynamics. Normally it becomes this kind of pally thing. They don't like each other. Like, they don't love each other. It's not over the top. They don't dislike each other either. They're like, yeah, it works well. We're cool. But Chris has always been, it's funny. It seems like Greg Monroe was his guy. That goes back to their Pistons time. Bledsoe was his guy. Drew and him seem to really kind of tight now. Chris is always like, tied at the hip to whoever Mitchell. The third guy is. It's kind of, it's interesting that way. And yeah, well, Giannis and Pat are just like, challenging each other in the weight room. And that's what goes on the other side of that. But I do think the dynamic between them is really interesting and makes it all the more cool, because you can see like the affection that's there, but it's affection that's being like, it's been earned and it's been accumulated by the hours of battle, rather than just being like, this guy is just like me.
It's a perfect encapsulation of that. In addition to Drew Holiday, I have another stat. This one comes from ESPN Stats and Info. Giannis, Drew, and Chris, the fifth trio in NBA history to each record 25 points on 50% shooting in a game. They're the first to do this since, couple of bums in Kareem, Magic, and James Worthy.
Oh my God, that's
in
a long
1985.
time. That's quite a long time.
So yeah, pretty good. If you want to say, Chris and Drew, are they good enough and second and third best player for a championship level team?
They're good enough, just often enough.
I don't know. It's the question's still up in the air. I don't know. They're up 3-2 in the finals. Who knows?
You know, the interesting thing about this, and I think it's particularly interesting because, like, people have, like, just everyone, people who were way too young, who didn't know anything, they've watched The Last Dance in the last year. Do you want to talk about, like, third best players on a lot of those Bulls teams? It's like, it's grim a lot of the time. Like, that's not what it necessarily is about. One, if your number one player is, like, you know, all-time great potential, which is what the Bucks have here, and we're really seeing that in these playoffs.
I don't know what you mean by potential.
Right, it's potential.
It's potential. You've got to,
you know, all-time great at 26, unless you're Mike Trout. Right, no one cares.
Right now, he's got no championships. You know, we might be 2 days away from that changing, but right now he's got no championships. You get number one at 26, then you're on quite a trajectory. Like, that's the kind of age that the all-time greats do that.
Well,
but it's like
faster than both of the consensus goes, right?
Yeah. Yep. But it's also like, to be in the conversation, it's like, is it about what Giannis at his best can do or some of his numbers? It's like, no, to be in that mix, you've got to be like Jordan or LeBron or Kareem or Magic Johnson or Larry Bird, and you've got to see, like, year after year, you're doing it. You're doing everything on an individual level. You're helping your team get better. You're going deep in the playoffs. You're winning championships. You know, so that's where the potential comes from. But I think, like, that should be an example. Middleton's got some Pippen in him. Middleton's got some Pippen in him in a lot of ways.
He's got some Jordan in him too.
He's also, in lots of important ways, he doesn't have the Pippen in him, which is great, particularly at the moment. But I think it all kind of combines near, like, just seriously, as a thought exercise, like, think of those Bulls teams and think of, like, third best player on some of them, and it's like, okay, compare that person with Drew Holiday. Like, what's the problem? It's the Warriors skewed this. You know, the Warriors skewed what people think the construction of, like, a big three in a championship team is, and what the Nets have at the moment skews it further. That's not what it takes, though. And it applies for both teams. If the Suns somehow win the next two games and the Suns win it, the same thing applies. Like, Devin Booker and Chris Paul are both great. DeAndre Ayton is very good. That's not Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant with Draymond Green as well. Like,
if you look at not the Warriors, it's like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Pascal Siakam, Kevin Love, Draymond Green.
Caldwell-Pope.
Well,
yeah, he's not wrong.
Who was it?
I know.
Rondo, maybe.
They were the fraud champions.
I think it was.
Let's
KCP.
be honest.
I think it was.
We
KCP.
could say this now.
Yeah, definitely was.
But I mean, yeah, Kevin Love, Draymond Green, like
Bosh.
And then, well, who would the team?
Oh, Spurs
be? Parker, Tony Parker, probably.
Yep.
Yeah, Bosh was damn good. I mean, probably Wade at that point, maybe, but that was another super team. That was another super team, though. And then the earlier Spurs teams, it was like Kawhi. Or maybe Manu at some point. But yeah, I mean, it's a good combo.
I'm mixing up which of the finals was the one they lost. I think it was the one they lost where Manu was just, like, out of his mind and no one else was. I think Tony Parker probably for the one they won. But look, I think a lot of you've got, if you're to look at the production of those kind of guys you've listed over those years, you're going to come close to Drew in some places, different players, so it won't necessarily map out, like Draymond being maybe the best example of that. But if you're just kind of weigh up, okay, what did their contributions need to be and what did they give? I think it's got it right in line. Like, the Bucks do look like a champion, and they look like a champion in more ways than one now. Like, you look at how they're playing. Who can deny that this is the team that should win the championship?
The way they ended the game, just like the fourth quarter, and I know they lost a lot of the lead. They still won, but just like the surgical way they approached possessions in the third and early fourth quarter, like, this is another thing that was not a Bud thing for a long time, but like Chris and Drew either screening for each other or Giannis screening for one of them over and over and over and over and over, generating really good looks. Like, they went away from it a bit. I think they're going to look at tape, and acknowledge they were all exhausted and that played a role in it. But like they went to the pick and roll, which was not a common Bucks play for a long time. They went to variants of it over and over and over because it's recognized, hey, with Giannis rolling, it's damn near the best play in basketball. Like, even though Drew and Chris are not two of the best initiators of the pick and roll in basketball, with Giannis rolling, the Bucks have one of the best plays in basketball. And it's just what we should do a lot. And they're not overcomplicating things. They're doing it a lot, and it worked. And if they can do it a lot one more time and continue to get these good performances across the board, then a lot of things, a lot of players, coaches, legacies become much less impeachable.
Speaking of legacies, sorry, Adam, 1 second.
No, go
on. Just to follow up on your potential comment about Giannis.
Oh, Christ.
I have another stat.
I figured that.
So you want to know who's averaged 30, 10, and 5 on 60% shooting in the finals?
Giannis. That's it, right?
That's it.
I just love how, yeah, of course it's Giannis. You're asking us the question, but Ty's just like, yeah, Giannis.
No,
I mean,
I think his whole playoff run too. No, or maybe it's just the finals.
Potentially, I don't have that in front of me.
None of it matters without the ring. You don't want to be Devin Booker out here with 40-point games without the wins.
Sheesh.
I'm only talking facts. I'm only talking the truth. Like they could still. This is what I wanted to ask: is there any trepidation?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Like I'm not saying. Look, I'm very confident. Very confident. Suns fans listening, we're very confident. I think you'll understand why. Like at this point, home game to win the championship. If the Suns somehow win Game 6, they will be very confident going into Game 7, right? I just think it's all there for the Bucks. Like it's all there. And what fuels my confidence is if they lost Game 6, I don't think it's beyond them to win Game 7. And I wouldn't pick against this team. Like just, you've got to win a road game. They just keep doing it. This was it again. It's like when the must-win road game comes up, the Bucks are just winning it every time now. Like it's not something where I'm trying to be cocky or arrogant about it. I just think like this is it. This is the best team in basketball. They're showing it. They're right there where they need to be, and it's within their grasp. And it's like, have you seen how Chris Middleton's been playing? You know what? Forget it. Why am I talking about Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday or Giannis? Have you seen how Pat Connaughton is playing? Pat Connaughton, the line is over under 13.5 points for him in the NBA Finals, and he's hitting the over. It's like these guys are meeting this challenge head on. It's like at this point,
Portis, who we wondered if could play on the road, has a game like that on the road, up and down the roster outside of Teague.
But they've flipped the series on its head. It's completely flipped. Like the Suns are really good, so they're going to be there every time. It's not beyond them. It's not impossible. Like if you're a Suns fan listening, I admire you if you've made it this far. Like unless you're really hate listening.
I doubt they made it past the tinkle part, to be honest.
If you're a Suns fan listening and you're like, what do I need to believe? But you can believe in your team. You've got really good players. Like Devin Booker may keep rolling off 40 points in losses, but that doesn't mean that they may not happen in wins soon. And all it takes is 2 of those, and you're holding up the Larry O'Brien trophy. But I just think it's really tough for them. And to your point, Ty, they must just be like, we saw Monty doing his whole, we're beating ourselves because they're winning the offensive rebounding, and, we're giving up this in terms of, you're going to look at those box scores tonight, Monty. And I don't know, we see what he said in the locker room, but you're going to look at that. And as a coach, I think that's a really tough one to just pick out the area and be like, look, we lost because we did this, because in a lot of ways, you look at the box scores and it doesn't even make sense that they lost, but they did lose. And no matter what they're coming up with, the Bucks are just like, yeah, that's nice and all, but we're going to win the championship.
Yeah, I have no trepidation, not because there's no shot the Suns win the series, I have no trepidation because I have no reason to believe the Bucks will lose another game because of what we've seen this whole run in this series and this game. Like, there's no reason to believe that they won't win. They just went into Phoenix and won a game where the Suns shot 60+% from three and Devin Booker put up 40 points again. Why is everyone laughing?
I'm only laughing because you are killing Rohan with this. This is like torture for him.
That's fine. Well, you know,
I'm with you, though.
I wanted to say they didn't.
That's fine. Thanks, Ty.
Well, what am I going to do? They didn't just flip the series. What they've done this run is flip the whole perception of this Bucks core. The Bucks, and for longer than that, but these Bucks were like, they're the team you can't trust. They're the team that is unserious. They're better in the regular season. They always find a way to blow it. They've done the opposite. They've found a way to win.
We said all of those things.
Because they were true.
For sure.
Narratives are true a lot of the time, not sometimes, but they flipped it. They've proven
we're not
us
narrative-based podcasters.
No, we're not.
We certainly, as Ty has gone over, he does not say things for takes. But
don't.
No, you don't. I know you don't. It's a joke. He gets very offensive.
24.
I think the thing is they have earned this. There's a reason never trust the Bucks was a thing, because they earned never being trusted, right? If there's one thing you could trust about the Bucks, is that they were completely untrustworthy. And you just need to look at series to series across this run. Like, every series has the thing where you're like, okay, you've got the Heat again. You could have ducked them. You know, this is not a good matchup for you in a lot of ways. Oh, okay, you're just going to sweep them? Cool. Your reward for that is you're playing the Brooklyn Nets. You're playing Kevin Durant. You get to see up close that he is just not human. He is better than any other basketball player alive. You know what? Doesn't matter. You're going to win. You're going to win on the road. The Hawks, okay, the Hawks are a young, plucky, up-and-coming team. That was some nice respite, but let's not pretend the Bucks didn't face their challenges in that, both in terms of matchup and then Giannis going down with the series where it was.
An eminently losable series.
100%.
Easily losable series, given what happened.
If the Bucks were the team that we feared they were and that everyone else had said they were all along, they would have lost that series, quite comfortably. It's just, that's what would have happened. And everyone would be like, oh, we're right. And here they are. And they come up against a team who are everyone's favorite, who have more shot making. They go down 2-0, and now they've rolled off 3 straight wins.
And even in this game, everyone's feeling around watching the game. The Suns cut it to 1. This is the run in Phoenix. This is how you get a 7-game series. Here it is. They win anyway. Like, the only time they've lost past Game 4 in this postseason was KD's Game 5 explosion when the Bucks played an awful second half. I think that was probably Bud's low point of the postseason.
100%.
And when Giannis got hurt. The only 2 times. Like, they've become the opposite of the Bucks. They went from the team where the adjustment happens and they lose a bunch to they're the team who gets locked into what they want to do and they just stop losing games. Rohan's just beside himself.
And my one thing I'll say to you, right, because if you don't like ties, just I can't see them winning another game, or I can't see them losing another game, which is honestly, I'm very much on they're going to win this series on Monday now.
In 6.
In 6. I named the podcast many years ago for the past 2 weeks, and please deliver Bucks. This would be really great for the brand. But the thing that does it for me is that I really do believe they will not lose 2 games in a row now. That's the thing. And I don't think it matters where those games are. If somehow they lose, and you could lose because the Suns are good, are the Suns going to beat them twice at this moment with the way the Bucks are locked in, the way they've been delivering? It's possible, but it feels super unlikely. Super, super unlikely. And I would back the Bucks to get this thing done on the road if it came to it, which is why for me, I'm like, even for them, having that there, they're going to come out with the urgency. I mean, they came out with the urgency today. You know, they came out with the urgency. They won the game to take control of this. They'll come out with the urgency in Game 6, but they also won't come out with the pressure of if we don't win this, it's gone, which to me, may have been a little bit of what Phoenix was kind of dealing with. I think the pressure worked in a different way.
See, what both of you have just said is completely true. It's completely factual. I can't argue against any of the logic whatsoever. I can't.
But you've been burned before. Is that what this comes down to?
Yes. I cannot count on something that has not happened in regards to this team. I cannot feel confident until it's actually happened.
When have you been burned, though? Like in this way? They've never been good enough to get to this point. Like
Toronto.
But they didn't get to this point.
No, but that series just absolutely scarred me for life. It's just, like the Bucks.
I think it's fair. Look,
it's fair that it scarred you, but there's not even a. I mean, that would have been. There's just losing from here is nothing like what happened in that series.
No, that's true. But I've seen this Bucks team have a lead, and then I've seen a version of this Bucks team absolutely implode at different levels.
Yeah.
And given a lot has changed, we've detailed that. And again, I can't argue with any of the logic you guys have made. They're infallible arguments.
You know how long ago that was?
Not long enough.
Giannis had not officially won a single MVP award when the Bucks lost to the Raptors.
And that's, again, I can't argue with the logic.
No, but it's just to point out, it's like how different of a player he is, right? Like, we don't even have to go to Chris. Like, look at Chris now. Just look at him
situation,
go. Drew Holiday over Bledsoe. Pat Connaughton then and now. Come on.
The version of Bud we get now. I get it, Rohan.
You guys are right. You guys are right.
It's just,
you know we get it too. Like, know, because we've been there. But I do like Game 7 against the Nets was an all-time. I think it's the most euphoric podcast we've recorded.
So far,
but honestly, I don't know. That was such a high. I honestly did not expect it. I did not expect it. I did not think it was possible. And even before we pressed record, I'll always remember, like, we all came onto the Zoom call. We were just basically like shouting at each other, like, in joy. Like, that was the moment where it's like, this is different. Now, that was the second round. So, if they go lose to the Hawks, that would have been dumb. But at that moment, it was like, this is different. This team is different. This is the breakthrough. And from then, I believe in them. And every time they step up and they deliver. Like, every time it's time to put chips in on the table, place your bets. The Bucks step up and they deliver. It's time. It's time to just be able to move past it. It's time to become completely insufferable in a different way. There'd be no more, Bucks fans, they're really nice, which is something somehow people say. Little do they know. But there'll be no, like, everyone will hate Bucks fans very soon because
I've been waiting.
Time has come.
I'll be the face of that once if it happens. If it happens.
I still love that the most exclamatory podcast title is still that one. They did it! ! All caps.
That's the championship episode title.